back from sickness, back from technical issues, back from the dead. Here we are to roll out another pod on a different day. I'm Liam.
I'm Ross.
Two loose cannons.
What do you think, mate? He had a big day yesterday down at the Nest.
Oh, yeah. Facebook famous now.
Yeah, you're Facebook famous.
Yeah, look, big thank you to the Adelaide Football Club for having us out. I'll chuck in the link below, and anyone who hasn't seen it can check out the video for themselves. But they had us down. I've got two kids with an illness, and the club have had us out a couple of times now. And yesterday they threw in a little bit of an added bonus. We don't know who's playing in the grand final yet, but I'll be there.
The McLean team's going.
We're heading down. Very generous from Toyota. This has come from Toyota, who's donated the tickets to the Adelaide Crows Foundation, and they have deemed us worthy enough to be the family that
well deserved, mate.
Are the recipients. So I'll talk through how that actually went, because it was a phenomenal day, and the video only just shows little snapshots of what happened. We got a full tour of the club, everyone there completely welcoming. Spoke to just about nearly everyone there, from Tim Silvers, the CEO, through to the general manager of football, Adam Kelly, who you'll see in the Facebook video. Fantastic people. They love to get to know you, love to get to know your story. I've got a memory of a goldfish. They're able to remember your name down at Westlake. So yeah, it was brilliant. We went and watched the training after we got the tour, and then they sneakily pulled us into the players' kitchen, and so we dined with the boys. Had text within punching distance.
What'd you have?
Well, I had a bit of a spicy noodle. I don't know what it was. I couldn't figure out. It was very punchy. Loved it. Loved to replicate it. Yeah. They had rice. They had chicken for those that love their chicken. Didn't see it much else. It was just mainly chicken.
Wow.
Chicken dishes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
High proteins.
And then halfway through lunch, they actually had the live members. They had Stuart. He was scout for you guys.
Yeah.
They had some of the match committee from the 97 grand final in attendance. And then after they spoke about what they're doing in terms of raising money for Past Players Foundation and what the players had to do in terms of signing commitments for the jerseys, and given the backstory of what they what it's there for, and then they called us up down the front, and there's like a little brown couch and TV up the front, and then he called out a few players. So he called out Lucky Scholl, Wayne Miller, Alex Neil-Bullen, your mate, and Isaac Cumming, and they all had to give a speak why their favourite grand final moments. So didn't have to necessarily be involved in one. They're talking about them as a fan aspect. So Wayne Miller listed the Leo Barry mark. Said, of course, the connection to Michael O'Loughlin.
Yep.
That's the reason why he chose that one. Isaac Cumming was a Swan supporter growing up, so he's same moment. Then we had Lucky Scholl. He listed, curiously enough, the Dom Sheed
Mark
goal.
Roll.
Yeah. I wonder where that came from. And then
Probably them beating Collingwood.
Neil-Bullen chose it was Clayton Oliver's goal from the grand final he was involved in.
What was that? 21? 20? Yeah,
21. Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
And then knew where it was heading in. They called up the Toyota guy. He listed being at the 04 grand final in a room full of Crows. And said it wasn't a great day for him because he was a Crows supporter. And then he said the other grand final we went to was the 2017 grand final. And then he said,
which wasn't a good one either.
No. So
maybe he's a jinx.
I might text him and say, don't bother showing up if we make it this year.
Well, it depends who makes it, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. So we then got announced grand final tickets, which caught me off guard. I didn't have much to say. just the generosity was overwhelming, and it's still hard to put into words. But
absolutely,
hell of a story, that's for sure. Just the whole day. The only thing really to come out of note is Riley Tilthorpe offered up his beard.
Oh, did he?
Asked Finn
for the foundation.
No. Asked Finn if he wanted him with a beard or without a beard.
Oh, and Finn said,
"Oh, I encouraged to keep the beard." Finn went a bit gun shy on it. So yeah, I was
careful you don't cut Samson's hair here.
He's already done it once for a charity, so yeah, we can't have him doing that mid-season because God, probably go down and do it.
Well, he hasn't been great of late.
What are you talking about?
You picked him.
Well, 5 goals against Richmond.
Yeah, but you picked him to be the best player in your side, and he's
still number 5 ranked. Yeah, still number 5 ranked player according to Champion data across.
Where's he sitting on the column?
Doesn't matter where he's sitting on the corner.
No, it doesn't. As a key forward, it doesn't matter where he sits.
No, it doesn't because he's so much more than that.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on because I think we differ here as to Riley. But anyway, good player, Riley. By the way.
Yeah,
good. Keep on shaving, buddy.
No, equally good bloke. So yeah, one of the things we spoke down at West Lakes off the record was I brought up the fact the rolling fixture. How happy were they with the rolling fixture and what was their thoughts this week? Particularly, we don't have a lot of games against top 8 opponents, and then you finally get one. And we've got an opponent coming up a 9-day break, and we're coming up a 6-day break and traveling.
Yeah.
They voiced their concerns to the AFL, and of course, it falls on deaf ears. So,
of course, it does.
It's not only the fact that the inequity of the breaks between some clubs of critical games, the fixture itself. So, we watched last night Carlton versus Brisbane. It was a non-contest, and you looked ahead at the games coming. And there's not a standout Friday or Thursday night.
Well, that's true. I mean, look, they've totally botched the. I don't know what's going on with Thursday and Friday nights, and having Essendon playing. I think it's 4 of the last 6 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Even Carlton still
Carlton popped up a couple of times. If you've got control of that fixture and there's some good games on, put it on at prime time. Yep. The only thing I can think of here is that Foxtel said they want some good games to be played on Saturday and Sunday, but they don't really want them all played on Thursday and Friday nights where it's free to air. So the AFL's had to sort of give some of these lesser
have a look at tonight
games.
Yeah. So that's tonight's a good game. So you've got Collingwood, Gold Coast, but you hit the nail on the head. Fox have built up this Super Saturday exclusive to them.
Yeah.
And then you have a look at the games this weekend. Yeah. All those great games played on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, no disrespect to your game, but both your sides are out of the 8, and then the other game that's played tomorrow, Sunday, also sides are involved outside the 8.
Yeah. And look, after what you did with the Sprig gate, being told to change your Sprigs and not changing them, no wonder they screwed you in this game against the Bulldogs, mate, because you deserved it. 6 weeks ago, you were told to pull those Sprigs off and not to wear them.
Okay, when was the
play at danger?
When was the
play at danger. I'm sure it was.
Wasn't done this week.
Well, it wasn't this week, but I'm sure it was within the last 6 weeks.
Oh, look, if that's
you continue to wear your Sprigs that were dangerous to other players, being selfish, they should have taken points off you because you obviously had that's performance enhancing to me. 2 players running around with metal Sprigs in. Got you. Look, what's going on, mate? If you're told to not do it, don't do it. It's simple. They should have come down. In my opinion, they should have come down a little bit harder. Because that's not a deterrent.
How do we go from rolling fixtures to this?
Because you copped it. That's why you. That's why
No.
Give you the like fixture you want it. Because they looked at it and gone, Crows have screwed us over again. They haven't listened to us. We're not going to listen to them with the rolling fixture.
Look,
simple.
Your players should roll them out.
Well,
it's not going to cost you guys anything.
Well deserved, in my opinion. It's got that fixture. I just
no.
Put it in there.
Put it in there.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the run sheet.
It wasn't on the run sheet. It was something I wanted to talk about. I totally forgot to add it to the run sheet, so I thought I'd get it in here.
Yeah.
But that could be our next topic if you want, if you finish with the wrong fixture.
Look.
Why did 2 players think that it was their right to go against an AFL?
Because the AFL's a joke. Look,
it is a joke. I
agree
with you,
when you
but
had to go out local grounds.
No, I do.
And you get your nails checked. You get your footing checked.
As a kid, I remember putting up my boots to show that the umpire.
Why does it stop when they get to AFL?
Because you're supposed to do the right thing at AFL.
Okay.
Even
not to still have everything checked before they go into the cage.
That's because they can weight their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're right. But can you imagine at before the game, everybody having to lift up their shoes so that the umpire could run down the line and see no one's got metal sprigs in?
Come into the like another way of breaking down barriers. No need to stick up pictures of umpires in dressing rooms. Have them come in, have them talk to the players, have them then check, the last minute check 5 minutes before they go out. Surely they're not going to be stupid enough to then change those sprigs, because I saw the footage. Someone has rolled it back and shown the footage. It's clearly visible, so you can't hide them. Once you go to ground, your legs are in the air.
Right.
You can see. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So it's something that the match review officers picked up. So anyone would be stupid enough to do that, they're going to get caught.
So what did they do? Explain to me why they did.
Well, it hasn't helped for Shelley, has it?
Well, it could have, in fact, if his foot dug in and that's what caused the knee to buckle, when maybe it hurt.
Well, look, it's not Adelaide, Sydney. Grounds like that, I mean, players losing confidence in the grounds they're running out of. And it's not just Sydney. I've seen some slippery grounds.
Definitely.
I'm not justifying that it's okay, but, at the moment, players are probably feeling a little bit insecure with what they're running on.
Look, even Adelaide Oval, I guarantee you, you've watched many games where they've just been falling over all over the place. It's very slippery, it's very joyous, and it doesn't even have to be. It could be a beautiful day. Sun could be beating down. And for some reason, players are still going to ground on perfectly. We had that game against, I think it was Sydney. It was a beautiful day. It was 20s. Sun was beating down. It's the footwear. It has to be the footwear. It's just not digging in enough. All the surfaces are too hard that they're not allowing that spongy dig where you can dig in and actually get grip.
And look, I know we're in the middle of winter and we've had rain and whatnot, but the grounds are still hard. We're talking over a summer that we didn't have much rain.
So they don't want them bogs. Yeah. Back in the day, we didn't care if we played in a bog.
Yeah.
I bet that was what we played.
I know.
We played in bogs and they don't want bogs.
But naturally, the ground surfaces are going to be harder.
You can imagine 42 blokes and plus umpires running up and down the field in stuff that's digging into the turf. It's going to pull it up. If it's raining, it's going to turn into just an absolute bog. So now they make it more resilient. They make the grounds more resilient. They make the dirt more resilient. They make the grass more resilient to the fact that things don't dig into them as easily. Don't rip them apart and you don't get those mud piles. So it's the footwear. And the only way to combat that footwear is to go to metal sprigs, because that will dig in. It won't matter what type of surface you want.
Yeah.
But you can't do that because
players like solid open. That's right. It's already happened this season. That's why they pulled it up. So, now this wasn't on the chart either. And it's another AFL enforced rule, the umpiring and touching the umpires at the moment.
Well, did you see
last night?
Was it last night? Absolutely. Poleaxe, and it cost them a goal.
Cost Carlton a goal. Yeah.
Twice, in fact. There was another umpire incident where he blocked one of the Carlton players because he was backing up and the Carlton player had to avoid him and the Brisbane player ran around, got the ball, gave the handball, goal.
Yeah.
So he virtually shepherded off the Carlton player from being close enough and it was all over, mate. He took the ball, bang, goal. So there was actually 2 incidents I saw and they were within 6-7 minutes of each other. That went in 2 Brisbane goals. In what was a 3-goal game.
So wrong.
Well, he was running back. See, the problem was the kick was coming across and he's running backwards. If he had just stopped, the kick would have gone to his right and the Carlton player would have marked it. But he kept going.
Why?
Don't know.
Is that
because he's going backwards? He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not watching the ball. That's the other thing too. If you look where he's watching infield. So he's actually not even looking where the kicker is and where the ball's coming from. So he's still running back, thinking, doesn't even know where the ball is. If you'd only observed where the ball was, he would have known. He had to go to our left or stop where he was, and he would have been completely out of the way.
Both those players could cost someone a grand final or something.
But both those players have got to get fined for umpire contact. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
because it'll be their fault. They'll be told it's your fault, despite the fact that umpire, when in that marking contest, got directly in the way of the Carlton player.
So that's completely different, though, in terms of, remember last weekend, and you had Matt Rowell using an umpire to split contact between the opponent.
Yeah.
That's where it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you're using the umpire as a shield.
Yeah.
And so that's something you can stop. As far as player collisions like that, I think it's on the umpire more than the player, because the players have got their eyes for the ball. They're not looking to run into an umpire.
Yeah.
And okay, the umpire doesn't want to run into a player, but they need to be aware. Yeah. Just as a player is, when they've got the ball, that it's 360 degrees around you. You could get hit at any given time.
Yeah, no one knows. It's just a muddle at the moment. It's just an absolute joke.
Our pro's never been better.
No, it's never been, according to the AFL, it's never been better.
But if you don't know how to position yourself, you don't have any, because it at times I think, even the interpretations, there's a lack of understanding from umpires. It's almost as if they haven't played the game.
Well, yeah, true.
Are we getting the right types into those positions?
If you speak to the AFL, you speak to any organisation, that goes all the way down.
But they're always going to protect their own.
That goes all the way down to juniors. I'll tell you, it's so hard to get umpires. That sometimes, and this is why they want to get rid of all this umpire abuse, because some of these kids who are rocking up and umpiring games, and I used to see this when I was coaching my son, when he was coming through primary and high school, when I was the coach of their team, I saw it week in, week out. Some of the stuff that was said to some of these kids who were no more than 12, 13, 14 was deplorable. I wouldn't say that to my best mate. And, like, we joke around and we call each other a lot of names, don't we? But some of the stuff being said to kids was just absolutely disgraceful. So no wonder the AFL wanted to strike it out. But it's got too far now. It's gotten to the point where you can't even criticise them as a coach, as a player, without them coming down and saying, no, you can't do that. You've got to fine.
Well, I mean, we have such a high turnover. What is the average career length of a player? It's like well below.
I think it's about, an average in years is about 4.5.
4.5. Yeah. So there's a lot of wastage, right? There's a lot of, why are we not looking at possibly exit strategies for those players? And again, the AFL could be talking to each club and making it aware that, why can't we get some of those players that, maybe that's exactly that they don't see themselves continuing on in football after they get delisted. Why not offer it as a career?
Because make it although some of these guys you might not ever hear about, they still go to minor
they do
leagues, and some of them are making good coin going to country leagues, as an ex-AFL player. So,
it's pretty well remunerated though, an AFL umpire.
An umpire makes more than, some of these umpires make more than the base salary of the rookies.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, I understand you're not going to get a full uptake, but you might be able to nab a few that you can potentially have. Because the more players that play umpiring, the better. Because
how do you accredit them, Liam? Like, it takes years. I know one of the kids who came up with my son at primary school, right? He became an SANFL umpire. I've watched his career. He's umpired a few AFL games. He's up to that standard now. But it took him years. Like, he umpired from the moment he was probably old enough to blow a whistle, whatever it was, 10, 12.
See, I think that's wrong, because it's not that...
And that's how he's had to come through the ranks.
I hear all the time, umpiring is not that difficult. The running capacity of an umpire is difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly moving at speed and trying to make sure that you're in the right positions at the right time, which, again, they're not getting right anyway.
Yeah.
But, why is it so... Why do you have to craft so damn hard? That's probably putting a lot of people off.
Look, it's also the understanding of the rules too. Like, you still have to have, even if you might not, most of the rules we have, you might not even ever hear or see. Or like, we tend to go basically with the pushing the back, the holding the man, the holding the ball, the mark. Where's the mark? What's 15, 20 meters? What's this? What's that? There's probably 200 rules that we don't see applied in games ever, because I
can guarantee you, I could go to one of those umpires that are umpiring tonight, and they wouldn't know half those rules either. It's like
in order to be accredited,
week. Okay, this is what we're stamping down on.
But in order to be accredited to be at that level, that's what you need to know. Because I remember when I was playing pretty serious volleyball back in the day when I was younger, and I went through the umpiring ranks and I got to the state league level. Now, to sit the test for the state league was just mind-boggling. And I'd been umpiring since I was probably a kid, because I've been playing volleyball since I was about 10, and I started umpiring when I was about 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew the game, but when it actually came to sitting and doing the test, I was like, what's this? I hadn't even heard half of the stuff that I was being tested on. And it was a 2-day course too. So we sat in the classroom for 2 days. basically revising everything I needed to know about being a state league umpire. And then we sat the test. I failed. And at this point, I'd been playing volleyball for probably a good 12, 13 years and umpiring for probably around about 10 at the lower levels. So it's just, but they need to make sure that if anything comes to hand, you need to know the rules of the game. That's all.
Yeah, that's what rules for. You can pick that up at any stage and then go back through, And again, like I said, they seem to get weekly training and reminders, and all of a sudden a rule that you haven't seen for 10 years pops up.
Yeah.
Like the one that grates my nerves, and they pull it out randomly because I saw it again half a dozen times on last weekend, is returning the ball on the full to the umpire. Yeah. I just see players just drop it on the ground or just placing it down there. Yeah. And again, they don't penalise that player.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden out of the blue, one weekend, you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players getting pinged that way. And all of a sudden you've got umpires going, even commentators going, what was that for?
That's right, yeah.
And it just creates frustration. You see the players, they're like, it makes the players look like they don't understand the rules, but they're basically saying, well, you didn't enforce this last week. Why all of a sudden are you enforcing it this week?
Have you seen that video doing the rounds on Facebook where it's one of the amateur leagues? I'm not sure what state it was in. I think it was either Victoria or WA. And the guy takes this absolute magnificent spec. He climbs on this bloke. He hits the shoulder. He slides across because the guy sort of bends as he's being hit. Gets him in the back of the head. The umpire paid high contact. And he takes the mark, takes a clean mark. And everybody's shocked. Like, well, even the guy who got the free kick was like, what? He said, no, high contact. And he said, but it was in the marking contact. He said, no. He said, high contact. Made contact to his head.
And was there a comment from the league?
Well, I didn't go that far because I just moved on. I thought, how ridiculous does this game become when taking a magnificent specky is then called a high contact?
Yeah.
But are we going to get to that point where that
incidental contact?
Yeah, incidental contact. Well, it's in the marking contest anyway, and he takes the mark. So, it's a clean mark. And it's probably one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. And yet it's declared a high contact free kick.
Yeah.
So you tell me. The interpretation, umpire's interpretation is killing the game.
Yeah, it is.
Make it clean, make it easy. Go with the last touch out of bounds. Go back to the old holding the ball rule. Go back to hands in the back, for God's sake. All right? It used to be you put your hands in the back of someone, it was in the back. It's simple.
Yeah.
Now it has to be 2 motions. It have to be pushed forward. You have to do this, you have to do that before it can be deemed. Or it's not holding your position.
Do you know what gives me the shits about that? And watch it this weekend for anybody paying attention. Forwards can get away with pushing in the back, but as soon as the defenders do it, it's a free kick.
No, you spoil.
It's a scorer's game.
Yep, it is. Yep.
But again, we talk about the rule books. If you can be consistent, both of you pay it the same.
The same thing happens with the chopping of the arms. When the forward chops a backman's arms, it's playing on. If the backman does it to the forward, it's a free kick. See you later.
That's okay. Write it in the rule book that way then.
Well, you can't write it in the rule book then. If you're a defender, you get punished for doing the same thing that a forward's doing.
Well, then,
doesn't.
So what I'm saying is enforce it.
Well, they're never going to enforce it because the league wants scoring. That's it. They don't want defenders dominating the game. Yeah. So, anyway, let's roll forward. I think we've got a pretty important subject to get across.
Fan IQ, fan behaviour, and hand in hand.
Hasn't this been?
Has social media and today's society, in terms of everything now, dumbed us down, and I guess
not us, you guys.
Don't insult our small viewership. Actually, no one's tuning in for us.
We humbly please apologize.
So you've got supporters from supporter bases fighting each other. Then you've got people racially abusing players. What's going on?
Well, look, I think we've become, it's not just it's the social media, it's the alcohol, it's the betting. There's so many things going on behind the scenes here that are causing these burner accounts make people brave because they think, oh, well, I won't get caught. Now, the guy who got in the NBL, there's now a case in the Victorian Supreme Court, I believe, where they've brought charges against a burner account. They actually went back, they found out who this person was, and they're now going to charge him with racial vilification against an NBL 36ers player. So this starts the ball rolling now.
ABC confirms, by the way, that was Harrell that got...
That's Harrell, that's right, yeah. So this starts the ball rolling now.
Dates back to last October.
Yep. So now, anybody, if you think you're safe behind a burner account, you're not. Because if there's been a special unit now set up to look into this sort of stuff, they will trace it back, because this took 6 months to find this bloke. So they'll get you. And you guys who are getting out there on the piss and putting on a bet, and they're getting angry at some player for not doing the right thing and start calling him all sorts of names, yeah, they're going to get you. And this all goes to IQ. Look, back in the day, this was going on. We all knew what was going on. We could hear it. The bloke behind you at the footy when you were standing there watching it, whether it was VFL or AL or AFL or SANFL, whatever it was, would be screaming in your ear all sorts of terrible slurs towards the Indigenous players. So it's been going on forever.
Yeah, it's not a new thing.
That's right. It's not a new thing. And it's not going to stop. I don't think it's ever going to stop. But you could always tell that the idiots, because they were just losing their shit over stuff, and it had to do with what they were holding in their hand, and most of the time, the punt they put on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and while the AFL continues to want to advertise gambling and wants to promote drinking, you're never going to be rid of this. But for anybody who thinks that they're safe behind their burner accounts, you're not anymore.
And that's the way it should be.
That's where you need to smarten up, because stats don't mean anything. You can look at the stats and see someone have 40 possessions and, 2 score involvements. And yet, of those 40 possessions, he's burned 32 of them. Means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we talked about this last week. Unfortunately, it didn't go to air because of technical difficulties. But just the impatience of people these days, even when your team's winning, no one's ever happy.
No.
And that's the bit that really ticks me off is...
And you're right, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching the Crows forum and, 2-5 to 1 point in the first quarter. Complete domination. Richmond didn't even look like getting close to the Crows. And you knew that eventually that they would burn Richmond off being a young team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it doesn't pan out that way. We've got people potting them. Why aren't they belting them? Why, this, that,
Yeah.
the shit, the selection, sack Matthew Nicks, it's the coach's fault. I mean, what the hell is that?
Well, how much did you put them to win on? Look back a bit further. How much have they got in their gut? How much bruises in their gut? And how much did they have the Crows to win by?
Yeah.
In their multi or on a single punt or whatever it was.
There would have been a lot of people having them in their multi by 10 plus goals.
10 plus goals, exactly.
Yeah, the amount of comments, it does my head in. And, I can understand Carlton fans throwing hands with each other.
Yeah.
They're in a very, very different position because they seem to be in, I don't know, they're in no man's land. And it feels like they go for a rebuild that goes forever. Yeah. And then they get to a very average level where they're expected to be.
That's it. They think they're going to be taking that next step. Yeah.
Exactly. And then they just live in that line until they drop down a bit more. Whereas the Crows have been in a hardcore rebuild from 2020. And if you're not prepared to support a team and be through that journey of when they hit rock bottom and be excited for your number 1 pick, that that comes with a wooden spoon. So take that wooden spoon as well, gratefully. Take your number 1 pick and you watch those green shoots come through, and that journey is so rewarding, and you don't rush it. Nobody should ever look to rush.
Look, people have different opinions on that.
Yeah.
I spoke to someone who said it's been hard. It's been too long. 17 was your last grand final.
Yeah, but
you haven't won one since whatever it was, 98. There's people screaming, absolutely screaming that this has taken too long. They still want Nick's gone. They're still calling, like I said, they're still calling for his job.
Yeah, that's.
They don't believe he's the right guy for this, to take this team forward. They want to move him out. They want someone else in. This is the Carlton effect, though.
Yeah.
And
if you rush things, that's where you end up with Carlton is.
Well, that's what happened, mate. Ratton wasn't good enough. He got him to the finals, but we can get Malthouse. Let's move forward with Malthouse. We've got a list that's going to contend. And what happens?
Yeah. And that's what I mean. So supporter fan IQ, there has to be understanding of knowing where your team is, understanding where it's at. Okay, sure, we haven't had success, like you mentioned, since 1998. Great. But in order to look at the bigger picture, have the Crows ever been through a proper rebuild? No, they haven't. And it was a boys' club, like you noted. It's not anymore. They blew it all up. They started it all again. And now we're starting to get to that stage where you can start dreaming. You can start opening things up. Are they there yet? Probably not. But you know that you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to take it. I see a lot of people, they're demanding a grand final this year.
They are.
That's wrong.
They're not.
How can you jump
You're not going to
from
make
13th, 14th to be a grand finalist?
You need to take a lot of. You need a lot of luck.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not good enough. Let me just say that from the start. It's not that you're not good enough, but in this game,
it's experience.
But it's also the umpire, man.
Yeah, there's that too.
I've said to you this so many times. They will umpire you out of that game to ensure it's a Geelong Collingwood. You're going to have to be a good 7 or 8 goals better on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you're a better 7 or 8 goal team than Geelong or Collingwood or even Brisbane.
No, this stage.
So they will umpire you out of that game to ensure that as many Victorian sides make the grand final as they can get in there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's conscious, it's unconscious to do that, but you only have to watch games and see the different rules apply to different people. And we go back to the Tilthorpe thing, where it was what's his name? Where they went out where he got done for
Fogarty.
Fogarty,
yeah.
Where he punches it out and it gets
Thorpe's
done for insufficient, and then it happened 15 seconds, not even 15 seconds later, and it was a throw-in.
Yeah.
Now, you can't tell me that's not an intentional thing with the same umpire interpreting the same rule 2 different ways.
And we go back to what we talked about first, like the rolling fixture. You know, in a season where these top 8 clashes are few and far between, and you've got a couple coming up, they've manipulated it.
It's manipulated because they want money. It's a money business, and they need the money. And I still think it's Foxtel put behind the scenes going, we need blockbusters. If we're paying you, if we're giving you this much money, you need to make sure we get blockbusters.
Yeah.
Because we don't want the Carlton-Brisbane game. We don't want the Essendon St Kilda games. We don't want the Port and West Coast games. You need to give us, Adelaide and the Bulldogs, or Collingwood and...
That's why they took the show down. That's why we haven't got the Friday night show.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want that on the Super Saturday. Yeah, subscribe.
So people aren't watching it. The Victorians don't give us stuff about...
They don't. But it's a marquee game with name value.
Yeah, but it's already got the viewership here where it needs it. And I don't know whether the Western states or the Eastern up top of the Brisbane's and the Sydney sides tune in to a showdown. Your biggest audience is the Victorian audience.
Yeah.
But they're not getting it because they're putting up another game against it, like a Collingwood and Geelong or another big game like that. And they're watching that. They're not watching the showdown. Yeah. So it still gets buried in a time slot where only us here are watching it, and maybe the Western Australians or the, New South Wales or Queensland sides are watching.
Yeah, handful.
That's it. And that's not where you want the game. You want it on like you said, on the national stage.
Yep.
Put it on a Thursday. Put it on a Friday.
Get it out there. Let everybody believe it or not. The showdown is the best game of the year.
It is. It can be.
It's the most storiedest game.
Absolutely.
The freaking ledger between us. What, 1 game difference?
Yep.
And again, last showdown, no one gave you guys a chance.
Yep.
I did. And it was one kick the difference.
Yeah.
So that's what the showdown produces all the freaking time.
Yeah.
I only remember 1 or 2 showdowns where it was a complete blowout, and there was reasons for those games.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the next one's probably going to be a blowout, given I think we'll start sending guys up for surgeries now.
Oh, this will be Ken's last showdown now.
I'll see the writing on the wall.
No,
if anybody's, you can see Alia's not right. That knee's not right. I don't know why they're playing him. They're playing for anything now. It's time for him to sit him down, get his knee right
for next year.
Let's get him right for next year, because you're achieving nothing. And I tend to agree with you. The lower you slip, the better the pick, the better the chance you've got of building this team up.
I know, but your
picks, getting some depth.
Gold Coast have your pick.
I know, Collingwood got the first
no,
round.
it's Gold Coast. They traded on to Gold Coast.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Because I saw an article.
Well, then finish as high as you can, so that Gold Coast.
Yeah, stuff Gold Coast. Yeah, I think it was exchanged. I think in the Noble deal somehow.
Yeah,
like it's changing of picks.
But as far as fan behaviour, and look, it's time to stop half the stuff that's going on. To be honest with you.
Yeah, the
racial stuff, the sexist stuff, the stuff around genders and
if that hasn't been a kick up the bum today,
yeah,
I don't know what will be.
Yeah,
the fact that they tracked down a burner account.
Yeah, but
you've got to scare a lot of people.
A lot of people are looking there. Oh, well done NBA. No one's equating that to this. This will go across all sports.
It will.
So if you're one of these guys who sits on his keyboard and starts hassling out AFL players, or thinks the WNBL is crap, or thinks that AFLW is crap, and you want to go the girls, or you think the Matildas aren't doing what they should be doing, be careful, because they'll find you.
Yeah.
The time is now to stop it. Get off the grog. Don't have that punt, because if it's going to get you in trouble, you could be facing big fines or even some prison time. Trust me.
So you want to talk AFLW?
Oh,
I think you know where I'm going with this one.
This one.
Let's see if I can draw you into a comment that gets you tracked down.
Nah, I mean, look.
$50 million hole that is the AFLW.
A loss.
What are they going to do? How are they going to fix that? Because they
don't have to fix it. They've got the AFL to back up.
Oh, God. But they're investing so deep, and the players are demanding more payment.
Yep. And that, you know what? It's $1 billion business. So at the moment, they can point to, say, teams like Gold Coast, GWS, the St Kildas, the Bulldogs, the Ports. There's probably 8 teams that aren't pulling their weight. And although we are now, we're making profits. We haven't lost money for a good 8 years, 9 years.
Yep.
But there are money pits out there. Okay. So the girl team, the AFLW can turn around and say, well, what about these? You're funding all these other teams to the tune of probably hundreds of millions.
Yeah, and they can't let this fall.
Let us float.
Yeah, and they
float us 50 mil to keep us afloat.
They can't let it fall. So what a PR nightmare that would be, that you folded the women's competition. That
you can't.
Again, they'll tell you that people are watching it in record numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult position.
Well, the WNBA are now saying they're going to go on strike unless they get higher payments. Now, the WNBA has never made a profit. In fact, they're in hundreds of millions of dollars there. Hundreds. And they've never made a profit in all the seasons they've been operating. And they've been running for a lot longer than the AFLW. And yet, they're threatening a strike. Again, what's the NBA going to do? They'll say, here you go. Here's a pot of money, take it. Because they're a multi-billion-dollar industry. And the last thing they can do as a PR thing is lose their women's league.
Yeah, that's true.
But somehow you've got to find a way, and the AFL's the same, some way you've got to find a way to make them self-support themselves. Now, I'm not talking about to the tune of the point where they're making profits, but just support yourselves to the point where you're not that big a burden. A lot of teams were burdened on the AFL. Like, go back 20 years, and there was probably half the teams, if not more. You know, we had an 18-team competition, or probably a 16-team competition, and 10 of those teams were on life support and needed AFL assistance. Because of good business models and good people getting into those teams and looking at opportunities to make money, there's probably only maybe half a dozen teams now that need a handout.
Yeah, and I'm going to say,
so they're going to have to do that. In this
day and age, there's no excuse for teams to be reliant on the AFL building their brand and supporting them. You know, social media in itself is a vehicle for each club to navigate their own path, but also build a supporter base that will invest money in. It's not just that. It's also a showcase for the sponsors.
Yeah.
So if you can't get sponsorship in this day and age, the way things have gone in the world, then you really should pack it up and go home.
Well, look, I've always thought there's way too many teams in it.
Oh, we all do.
There's way too many. And that dollar only goes so far. And if you've got to spend it on a Collingwood or a North Melbourne, unless you're a diehard North Melbourne supporter, and both those teams come pitching to you, and you've got no affiliation with either side, you don't support any of them. I know which one I'm picking.
North.
It's not North. I'm nowhere near North. No. So this is where the problem is, because Collingwood can come to you and say, look at all these great time slots we get, and we play this many games at the MCG.
You're ready to be showcased here.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. We can, and we've got this international level of support also, so I do understand why some of these teams, the St Kildas, the Bulldogs, the North Melbournes, and I still do struggle, because that market is so saturated, and the dollar only goes so far. You can only find some of it, but you're right about the internet. this is where they're going to have to go, and they're going to have to try to find new streams.
North Melbourne's a very curious case because, look, I've been over there a couple of times and visited North Melbourne Football Club a couple of times because we stayed at Royal Melbourne Children's Hospital.
You're a closet supporter, aren't you?
No. I was a North supporter before the Crows came in competition. But I can't work out with so Parkside is right next to North Melbourne. That's where all the supposedly, this is what I've been told, all affluent people, doctors, nurses, whatever, not nurses, professors and that sort of thing live. There should be some high profile support, high profile backers within that little pocket in Parkside. Why North has never been a well supported club? I don't get it. And it's so open. You can just walk right in.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't walk into West Lakes down at the Crows.
Yeah.
And not every club's like that, a war zone. But it's
I understand that. And they had some really good success late 90s.
Yes. They've had some great players, even
early
in
2000s, even back in the 70s, you know. So they should have had that growth. Hawthorn struggled and they were on life support actually, and there was that point where they almost amalgamated with whoever it was.
And now you couldn't ever imagine Hawthorn being in that position.
That's right. You couldn't, because what happens is all that success, all those kids grow up, and you just got to wait for them to come through, get jobs, and be able to buy their own memberships, because they had such great success in those 80s and 90s. But a lot of those kids don't get jobs until the early 2000s, and then you start to see that growth happening. And now they're
generational.
Yeah, that's right. It's generational. It never happened with North.
No.
They had all those great years in the 90s, and those kids that grew up as North supporters, for some reason, didn't grow the supporter base, didn't get the memberships, it stayed small. It always stays small.
The only thing I noticed walking up close to Arden Street is there's a lot of students. So maybe it's not quite the right mix. You've got, rich people that are probably support the Carltons of the world. And then you've got people that are coming in close to the city to just rent to go to uni and that sort of thing.
Right. Well, as far as the AFLW goes, I don't know what the answer is here, because I totally agree with you. They can't fold it. They have to support it. And that support, if it has to be 50 million, 100 million, well, then it's got to be that. You pay what you got to pay.
But they're really hoping, though, that
players need to understand you're not making anything here. So how can you justify things?
So should the AFLW start manufacturing the next Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark?
But you can't do that. See, on a basketball court, you can do that. On a footy field, you can't. You can't. That rivalry just doesn't happen because
there's too many pieces.
There's too many pieces. That's it.
But still, you could get two high-profile beacons to go head-to-head.
Okay, but so
a little while there, you had Daisy Pearce against Phillips. That was the big thing. Who was the better player?
Now, how many times did they play a year?
Once. But you still had supporters talking. Who was the better player?
No supporters were talking. The Victorians were trying to pump up Daisy, and the rest of the competition knew that Erin was the girl. And they never expected it, because when they first formed the whole competition, she was their beacon, Daisy Pearce. Erin Phillips stepped onto that field. They didn't even know about it. They didn't know what she'd achieved back here in South Australia.
And that's a disgrace, isn't it? That's
because they have no interest in it.
No, but
absolutely no interest in it. They just knew, because of these exhibition games that they used to have between Melbourne and the Bulldogs, that she was the best player out on the field.
Yeah.
Game in, game out. That's all they knew.
Yeah.
So, of course, they make her the face of the league. They had no idea who was coming. And we did, though.
Yeah.
Back here in South Australia, we knew exactly what Erin, because we saw her grow up.
Yeah.
We saw her play.
Playing the slowdowns.
That's right. You played it against her. You stood her, and she absolutely burnt you, mate. So you had stories that you would tell me about how good she was.
Yeah, sure.
It's true. Liam did say Phillips when they were playing junior footy for Port Adelaide. So, look, we knew what she was, and we knew how capable she was. That she was a triple Olympian, double Olympian in basketball.
She was, but I saw an argument from Victorians saying, slow down, muck around games.
She wasn't mucking around.
No, she did that every year.
She wasn't.
To slaughter the Crows.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to kill someone.
And if you knew who our old man was, and you knew that the work standard he had, there was no way she was ever going to step onto that field and just be another player.
No.
Yeah.
Look, as far as elite women's athletes go, she was cut.
Absolutely.
Really, really smart.
Yeah. She knew how to look after herself. She knew how to prepare. She was extremely professional.
Yeah.
She had that background because of her father. So there was I never expected her to ever fail as a player. But unfortunately, they still seem hesitant to put her name on the medal when it comes to the whatever the equivalent of what they're calling it.
Starting to get to the stage where I think it's not going to happen.
Well,
and if they did, it's going to be an amalgamation.
Oh, that'd be crazy to do something like that.
I know,
because there's no way that Daisy's even close to Erin's achievements.
No, but they'll say that she's got a premiership. Erin Phillips has
and they actually had to contrive the premiership and hand it to Melbourne. If you watch that game, have a look at that game. Tell me that wasn't absolutely just. Anyway, let's move on.
It was kind of reminds us of the Lionel Messi Argentina. They wanted FIFA wanted. Yeah, very similar. Because I think that's where we're headed next. We're going to talk about the Club World Cup, which Messi was a part of. Now this is supposed to be a great competition. The best clubs over the last 4 years coming together, playing a World Cup style tournament. But have you actually taken notice?
No. Once I heard the Saudis involved, it was pretty much. This is a money thing. That's all. They're going to throw absolute buckets and buckets of money at these clubs just to say, come on, let's do this. Let's get a competition out.
Yep.
We're going to play it over here every 4 years or whatever, like it's a, Club World Cup. They'll play it probably in between the World Cup and the European Championships. And then, to fill that gap. So, no notice at all.
And just
nothing.
Apparently the Europeans, the European bloc did not want this, and understandable. You've got the end of season. Their season's done. They should be on holidays. Risk of injury during a tournament like this is quite high. There's been already a couple of high-profile injuries. But it was Saudi that tipped their money in to influence FIFA, get this up and running. We will pay for this to happen because we want the World Cup. This was all part of that package. So, again, it tries to help Saudi Arabia with their clubs to make their clubs look good. And I think they beat, was it PSG? They beat one of their European clubs. Yeah. Again, how much care was given?
No, because it's not that PSG team. It's not the best that they could have put on the field.
Yeah.
At the end of it all.
And are they playing? Their mind's in sort of, let's get through this. Let's get the whole.
It's just like the mid-season. Did you hear about the mid-season?
Yeah.
What happened in the AFL? How ridiculous is that? These clubs, some of these clubs are struggling to field players as it is. And then you want to chuck in a mid-season round robin type of carnival. Makes no sense. You talk about stress on the players' bodies, and then you want to chuck in another tournament. Like your NBA. Idiots. Move on.
Look, the NBA does it well because they can use it in season, and
that's right.
Look, the NBL we went the first ones to try it, but we brought it in, and then I think the NBA looked at it at us. It worked for you.
Do you understand it all the way they score these? How do you make the?
I don't want
sometimes
very close.
Absolutely can't figure out how the two teams who made the final actually did it because there's teams that haven't even lost, and yet they're nowhere near making the finals. So
I do get a little bit lost unless you're following it. Religiously.
So it's almost like if you're a lower ranked team and you win, you get more points than the higher ranked team who wins against a lower ranked team. And therefore, so it's not even about wins and losses. So you can manipulate the draw. If you think the Lakers are going to be good and you think, I don't know, the Celtics are going to be good, so you could almost manipulate that draw to make sure that you got a Celtics and Lakers final if they're good enough to make it that far.
What I didn't like last season was what the NBL tried. Do you remember that summer series shootout where you got to choose the team that you played against, and it depended on what you scored. So you needed a high points tally, the team with the highest points tally at the end got the money. I didn't like that.
It's contrived. It's absolutely contrived. Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that Melbourne used us, and that was the game that we beat them.
We beat them. Yeah.
I couldn't care less what the fact that we didn't win it, as long as Melbourne didn't win it, and they used us.
Yeah.
So that was good.
All right, our final shot.
Yeah, so I think I went with who did I go with? Thinking about this weekend's game. Oh, that's right. GWS to do the double this season over Geelong.
Okay.
Again, it's not a give me. I think Geelong will want one back on GWS, and GWS is so hard to tip.
Yeah.
Up 1 week, down 1 week. But I think they'll set themselves for this one. They're on the cusp of the 8. Geelong are firmly entrenched in the 4. GWS to win.
All right. And I have gone Richmond to beat.
What are you doing?
I can't even think. I can't even think of a Richmond.
We didn't run up.
This is not very professional.
No, we didn't run up.
To beat Essendon, so I should have known.
Yeah.
So I've gone Richmond to beat Essendon. I just think that Essendon team is probably younger than the Richmond team, and Richmond have been playing decently of late. They've been in games.
They've set themselves.
They've definitely set themselves. It's just traditional rivalry.
Well, their last couple of games they played Geelong, and then they played us, and then I think they had to buy the week before. So
I
last
think,
couple of weeks.
I think, Richmond, I definitely can do Essendon on this. So that's my final shot.
Yeah, and look, tune in Monday because I think we've got a couple of topics that I want to talk about at more length.
Yeah.
That's popped up through my head through the show. I think it's going to be a good one.
All right. So I'm getting really good at picking when mistakes in movies. I can almost tell when the dinosaurs aren't real. Goodbye.